Hey there, just checking to make sure that everything is streaming properly. If you stick with me for a little bit, we'll be streaming some live video and I'll be turning off notifications because, oh my goodness, the notifications are coming through right now. And it's like everybody knew at this particular moment I was going to start streaming or something. So I'll be closing all of those as soon as I see that the stream is up. Let's see what we got going on here. A lot of nice slow reloads. It's possible that this stream won't last very long if my computer starts struggling. The plan here is to do some live editing. I work in Hindenburg Journalist Pro, and I thought maybe a few people might be interested in seeing what the workflow looks like, what I do. I have an episode of the Podcast Editors Mastermind that was recorded live on video, and I've done some of the work to prepare it, some of the audio repair and some of that kind of stuff to get it ready to go. And I thought I might just go ahead and do the editing live. Let's see, where's my chat? Just about everything is up and running. There we go. So let me see. I guess I should display myself. So, hey, for those of you that are joining me or that have endured the last several minutes of silliness, this is Brian Ensminger. I'm a podcast editor, sort of a side hustle podcast editor. I do edit professionally, but I also work full time in a different profession. And I'm going to be editing tonight live at least part of an episode of the Podcast Editors Mastermind. This is a show that's one episode old. This will be episode number 2. I recorded it with a few podcast editors that I meet with on a regular basis. We did record it as a live video, and we each recorded our audio locally. And so now I'm going to go through and do some of the editing. If you've missed the first part, I did already do some audio repair. There was some background noise that I took care of and some other things like that. So this is going to be focused on the mixing and editing portion. So EQ, compression, and then the editing. This will not be a super detailed edit, but this is what I'll be doing. So let me see. I need to go ahead and share my screen again. And let's see, share computer sound. If I hit play and you can't hear anything, please comment that you can't hear anything, and I'll try and get that corrected. I haven't streamed with Zoom in a while. So there were 4 of us on this particular call. One of the participants was Carrie Caulfield Eric of Yaya Podcasting. I've dropped her track in right there. Another one was Jennifer Longworth of Bourbon Barrel Podcasting. And then we had also Daniel Abendroth from Roth Media Productions, I think, Roth Media, and then me, Brian Ensminger of Top Tier Audio. So what I've done is I've dropped in all 4 of the tracks, and as you could see, Hindenburg has already pre-leveled some of this so that we've got a relatively consistent level between us. Now, one interesting piece about this, I don't have a guide track, and we did not do any kind of clap or any kind of sync up before, so I'm going to have to manually align this stuff and then hope for minimal drift. And if I scroll to the end, you can see that all of these are, in fact, quite different lengths. So this is going to be a little bit interesting to put together, but it's what we've got to work with. So I was hoping that the end would be more closely aligned. It looks like it is not. So right now it's anybody's guess as to where we're going to start. So let me see. I think this is probably about where we did our entrance.
There you go.
So that was Daniel.
Oh, no, I think
Carrie.
so. 80% of what you're putting out into the world as marketing, because everything you're
Let's see.
savvy. That
Trying to figure out. We did talk for a couple of minutes before we started, but it wasn't 30. So let's see. For those of you in the chat as well, if you edit for people, have you already had the opportunity to share something with them? And then what was that? So this is part of the hunt and peck method of editing. I'm trying to see if any of us align pretty closely. It looks like Jennifer and I might.
editing is going to be the first.
Well. Let's see. Does this work together?
And planning for personal stuff as well.
As far as the physical space goes,
Okay, so Jennifer has some.
So it is, yeah, I think it was a lot around, finding.
Okay, so we've got Jennifer enters about right here. So I think that part's lined up. If I remember right. Ooh, look at that. I was clipping. I'm going to go ahead and add a plugin on the master track to keep that clipping from happening. And let's see. This is the Schoeps Omnichannel, and all I'm going to use this for is a limiter at -1 decibel, just so that I don't clip the meter. So I think Jennifer and I are lined up. Now let's see. I can't remember who got us in. I thought it was Carrie, but it might have been Daniel.
Oh, I don't remember what the question was. Right.
Let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's only fair, right? And why is everything like I'm like way like all I have a big head. Sorry.
Podcasting.
This is freaky.
So if you are in that, yeah, so it's streaming
Start
to
a
my
watch
profile, and then I think from there we're doing
I'm starting
watch
a
parties.
watch party.
So the only comments that I do. Yeah, so if you guys are hosting watch parties, like let me keep an eye on the comments, I guess. Well, welcome everybody. So I don't know. I mean, this is well, welcome everybody. So this kind of grew out of the podcast editor.
So I think this might be the beginning right here. I'm going to go ahead and mark that spot so that I can come back to it,
Well, welcome everybody.
just to make sure that we didn't come back in again.
No,
All right, so it doesn't seem like it. I thought we had a false start, but I might have remembered that incorrectly. This is the advantage of actually being there during the recording.
so this is actually the second episode.
All right, so we have our beginning right here. Welcome, everybody.
Well, welcome everybody.
Now we just got to figure out where everybody else fits into this. Let's see, where does Daniel leave this?
To write a passage thing, but you do have to edit an episode if you're interested. So, sure, write a passage.
Okay, so Daniel's got us right here. You do have to edit an episode, so now I got to figure out who comes in after that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Carrie?
Yeah. We're working it out. This is, right. So what do you do? What do you tell your clients during this time? Yeah, but we promised to trim the pre-talk in the well.
So this is Carrie making a really good point. This is something we didn't do for me.
Yeah, but we promised to trim the pre-talk in the post-talk. Well.
Yeah, so if you do want to be an editor for, or a guest on this, one of the rites of passage is you do need to edit an episode. So Carrie's just commenting that we'll be nice to you when you do that.
Yes, well, we need to be more directed for our podcast. But
All right, so all of this stuff for Carrie can go, because this is where she comes in.
yeah, but
Now let's see. Trying to figure out where everybody starts.
Right. Hey,
No.
Kyle. Yeah, wow. I think we should start with disaster or continuity planning, because
Okay, so
did you want to kick us off?
all right. So I think this probably is where I came in. Let's see if this lines up nicely.
Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to kick us off?
Oh, is it my turn? Well, welcome every.
All right, so I think that works for, oopsie, for me to enter. We don't need that part. So now we just got to figure out where Jennifer comes in. And my guess is that it's probably right around here.
We'll scroll back in the chat and find out.
well,
As far as the physical space goes, we're still open.
Okay, so Jennifer's got a physical space right here, but now Is that right? That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I think it was a lot around
Right.
you know,
So
finding
what do you
clients
do?
and continuing
What
to
do you tell
work
your clients
and
during the
Okay, I need to line mine up.
It's your rite of passage.
Wow, this is harder to line up than I had hoped.
this
planning
time
for
when
personal
they are
stuff
starting
as
to freak
well.
out? Because I've I don't remember
fake
what the
news and that
question
kind
was.
of to
I don't remember what the question was. So, what do you do? What do you tell your clients during this time when they are starting to freak out? Because I've had clients ask me, what happens if there's no money coming in and I can't pay
So
you?
public
I might have to see if I can find this video. It's a little bit tough to go through that. See if we have anything in the... Yeah, we definitely need to make sure we clap, Daniel. Totally agreed. Or we have to have a guide track, one or the other. In this case, we don't have either. Something is definitely not right with my alignment here, and I can't quite figure out what.
my first question is really
have.
for the
The other way we can come at this is to go to the end and see if we can figure out when the episode finished and where everybody stopped.
not at this point. I've
So let's see.
I'll show you what I do because I
What I'm looking for is where everybody says who they are and what they do.
and I to at least one of us so that you can be notified the next time we go live and we'll keep you up to date. Thanks for being here.
Okay, so that's the end of mine. Oops, and I hit the wrong button because that's how we roll. Let's see, is this Daniel?
and
That's really
he
nice.
yeah.
Thank you
So
for
like
being a-
Darlene, Dave, I am Daniel Abendroth of Roth Media. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram at Roth Media _audio, at Facebook Roth Media Audio, or at rothmedia.audio.
All right, so there's Daniel. Let's see if this is Carrie's.
So I am.
No,
Carrie
I had-
Caulfield. So I am Carrie Caulfield Eric, and you can find me at yayapodcasting.com.
So I can't remember the exact order that we went through, but I think that it was Daniel and then Carrie.
So I am.
Who wants?
All right, and then is this Jennifer?
No, I just got a comment. Thanks. I think John was the only podcast. I'm gonna go live and I'll bring a real mic home next time. Oh, I better stop my recording or I'm gonna get all this. Break, Brian. Doing my crappy audio because I'm.
Can't find Jennifer's.
And it was on the half hour. The call was going to be on the half hour. And when
Feels like it should be right around here.
I think John was the only podcast, some random band parents. I just got a comment. Thanks you guys for the opportunity to listen in from one of my locals. I'm Jennifer Longworth. You can find
There we are. I think it went Daniel, Carrie, Jennifer, and then me. So let's see what we got here.
_audio, at Facebook Roth Media Audio, or at rothmedia.audio.
So I am Carrie Caulfield Eric, and you can find me at yayapodcasting.com. All my social media links are there, but you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Carrie Eric.
I'm Jennifer Longworth. You can find me at bourbonbarrelpodcasting.com. My social media handle everywhere is KY Podcasting.
And I'm Brian. You can find me at toptieraudio.com. All of my social profiles are linked there, but they're all at Top Tier Audio because I lack creativity. At some point, you'll be able to find this show at the Podcasters Mastermind. You'll be able to subscribe to it. However, in the interim, we suggest you connect to at least one of us so that you can be notified the next time we go
Thank you,
live, and we'll
everybody,
keep
for
you up to date.
watching.
Thanks for being here.
Okay, so clearly I messed that up because Carrie is saying goodbye to everybody else after me. So let's see if that...
So I am.
Next time we go live, and we'll keep you up to date. Thanks for being here. keep you up to date. Thanks for being
There we go. Thanks.
Go live and we'll keep you up to date. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
All right, so that gets us to the end. Now that we've got the ends selected, I'm just going to go back and make sure that the entrances make sense. So Daniel kicked us off here.
Well, welcome everybody. So
Post talk.
Oh, do we?
Wow.
yeah.
Well, I feel like that's safer.
So
I've got some background noise on Jennifer's track. I tried to get rid of as much of that as I could in pre-processing. I'm going to try built-in noise reduction.
but it's going to be like a full-fledged podcast with
Okay, so I can't fix the keyboard yet, so I'll do that in a minute. So now I have everything relatively aligned. I feel pretty good about it. What I'm going to do next is go through and what I'll call mix. So I'm going to do EQ and compression, and then I'm going to go through and make sure that everybody is still at the same level, because even though Hindenburg levels all of the regions across, there's always the possibility that by applying some equalization and stuff, I might change things. Looking at these, Jennifer's is already pretty well compressed. It's probably a feature of having used a webcam. So probably not going to be much compression on that. But what I'm going to try and do is make sure that I've got everything right. Typically, I like to use the Schoeps Omni channel for this kind of thing. I've got a new one that I've been trying out. I'm not going to use it today, but I will just go ahead and show you. This was a gift from Dan Hughley over at Focusrite. They have a new plugin. I'm not sure exactly how new it is, but relatively new, that they worked on with BX or BrainWorks. This is the BrainWorks Focusrite console. It's modeled after one of the only 10 consoles ever in existence from Focusrite. And it's a pretty slick plugin. It's got your typical input section with your gain. It's also got a virtual gain that has to do with the noise floor. A relatively typical EQ section. It's got a high shelf and a low shelf with variable positioning of where that starts. You've also got a couple of EQs for the high mids and the low mids. These are variable Qs. You can change the precision of that. A high pass and low pass filter. And then it also has a pretty nice compressor. I've been fairly impressed with how the compressor works. Not quite yet ready to use it live yet, but I've been fairly happy with that. And then it also does have a gate or expander. It's got a button for expander. It has a built-in de-esser. A de-esser is one of the reasons I really like the Schoeps Omni channel, because it does have that built-in. It actually has two built-in de-essers. So I really like that. And then your typical output section. And yeah, so that's one that I've been trying out. I'm at least on mine. I'm going to stick with the Schoeps today because I have a preset for me. So as long as everything sounds pretty good when I get done, or once I've applied that, I'm not going to monkey with the Schoeps all that much on my track. I'm just going to check and see if I like it. I typically mix with studio monitors, and I'm using headphones today, so I'm not quite sure if I trust them, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Do we have a second for Tony Deck shared something in the stream, the watch party on mine. It's an article from transom.org. Not quite sure how to share that in the chat, but it hit a couple of the things that you talked about, cleaning your microphones.
Yeah, okay. So my voice tends to be a tiny bit muddy, so I like what the Schoeps does there. For my voice, I'll just show you what I've done. I've applied a fairly light compression. I've got a little bit of saturation that kind of emulates some of that mic saturation. And I've got a, it's not exactly a shelf, but it's nearly a shelf, about 2 decibels at 380, just bringing down some of the low mids in my voice. I pull out just about a decibel at 1600 kilohertz or 1600 hertz. And then I've got about a 3 decibel boost at 8K. That might be a tiny bit sharp. I need to go back and listen to that one more time.
It's an article from transom.org.
Yeah.
Not quite sure how to share that in the chat, but it hit.
And then I do have one de-esser on my voice in case it gets harsh at about 4,500. The only other thing I'm going to drop on my track will be the Waves Vocal Rider. and I've got a preset for that for spoken word. All I do is that allows me to make some minute adjustments.
Tony Deck shared something in the stream. The
Just
watch
to kind of take a little bit of edge off of the top without it having to be compressed. So my channel is done. I'm going to move on to Carrie. Not quite as familiar with her voice. Definitely talked to her, but not quite as familiar with EQing her voice. I'm going to go ahead and drop the Sheps in there as well and go to town. Typically start with a little bit of mic saturation, and I'm going to switch this to gain reduction, drop a limiter on just in case, and start.
this.
Oh, I guess I have to.
Okay.
I've created a blog post on what podcasters should be doing during this time, with broken down into different categories, like the hygiene part.
Okay, so
Like-
generally, I like Carrie's voice pretty well. I'm going to pull out maybe just a tiny bit of the 300s.
Like, clean your microphones. But clean them correctly. And of course, wash your hands. I mean, I don't think we can say that enough, just like even not in a pandemic, but it's nice to be able to say wash your hands. And then what you can do to deal with podcasting. So don't be tone deaf to your audience. Pay attention to their feedback. Ask them specifically. Go out and engage your audience. And a lot of people say, well, how do I talk to my audience? Well, you talk to them. The people that...
Okay, so I'm relatively happy with Carrie's voice. I didn't do a whole lot. Carrie's interesting in that a lot of the females that I edit, I end up having to do a good bit of de-essing, and I don't have to do that with her. That's good mic technique on her part. And so I didn't have to de-ess her. Really, all I did was pull out just a tiny bit of the, around 350 hertz. I didn't put a shelf on the top or anything with the mids. A little bit of compression, a little bit of mic saturation, and a limiter. Oops. And I did drop the noise reduction on her track. I heard a little bit of hum. See if I can play that. You might not hear it through Zoom.
I have created a blog
So I'm
post.
going to just use the built-in noise reduction. That seems to be doing a good job for that. I'm going to move on to, actually, I'm going to do Daniel next, just because I think his will be a little bit easier. I'm looking for a nice long section where he was talking. And let's see, there we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And then before we do that, before I forget, shout out to Chris Curran. His group, he has a group called Podcasters Lounge, and they're streaming all the time now. And it's just like a great place for podcasters just to kind of like hang out and have a chill time. So be sure to join that group and join his live streams. I think he's going live tomorrow night. So be sure to do that.
Let's see, I got to go back to where he's talking.
So Meat Fox is something I bought off of AppSumo. Currently going for $50, and I love it because I was using Calendly and then also Zoom. So, and I didn't want to pay for it. So I would I could have Calendly on my website, schedule that, and then I would then manually add a meeting in Zoom, which would then add it to, and then from there, manually add it to my Google Calendar. But then I saw this thing with Meat Fox, and I have not looked back. So let me share my screen. All right, so this is my website, and this is like a place to schedule a free consultation that I have on my website. So there's just
What
cool.
I'm doing here is I hear a tiny bit of harshness, and it seems like it's right probably in this 2700 range. So I'm going to...
Because I was using Calendly and then also Zoom. So, and I didn't want to pay for it. So I would I could have Calendly on my website, schedule that, and then I would then manually add a meeting in Zoom, which would then add it to, and then from there, manually add it to my Google Calendar. But then I saw this thing with Meat Fox, and I have not looked back. So let me share my screen. Shout out to Chris Curran. His group, he has a group called Podcasters Lounge, and they're streaming all the time now. And it's just like a great place for podcasters.
So I'm going to A/B test that. I'm not quite sure that I've liked this just yet, but I'm going to try it.
Chris Curran, his group, he has a group
Oh,
called...
wow, look at that. I was clipping. So I'm going to go ahead and back my input down a couple of decibels, and I will punch my output up about 1.5 and see where that gets me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then before we do that, before I forget, shout out to Chris Curran. His group, he has a group called Podcasters Lounge, and they're streaming all the time now, and it's just like a great place for podcasters just to kind of like hang out and have a chill time. So be sure to join that group and join his live streams. I think he's going live tomorrow night. So be sure to do that. For podcasters just to kind of like hang out and have a chill. They're streaming all the time now, and it's just like a great place for podcasters just to kind of like hang out and have a chill time. So be sure to join that group and join his live streams. I think he's going live tomorrow night.
Okay, so I think I like that fairly well. I'm going to go ahead and save that preset for Daniel. Not a new file. I want to save it to my menu. Let's see. That's for Daniel Abendroth of Roth Media. Now, I'm not 100% sure that I'm nailed in with that for every time, but this is his typical setup. So this will give me a starting point for the next time. Got some noise reduction, and then I'm going to drop on the Waves Vocal Rider. And I've got a preset for that again that just helps me.
Streaming all the time now, and it's just
a little bit. Now on for Jennifer. This was the webcam, so I'm definitely not going to save her preset. I will go ahead and save Carrie's, though. Let's see. Make sure that I don't mess that up. The previous episode that I did with them, we were recording on location with different mics, so I didn't want to save those presets. But let's go see what we got going on with Jennifer.
So I don't have a team. It's just...
Okay, so one thing, there was some reverb in the recording. I wasn't sure if I was going to need to pull it out when I was conditioning the files. I'm hoping that I can just pull it out with a plugin here and do it in real time rather than having to go back to something else.
So I don't have a team. It's just me. But this topic came up in the Just Busters group. So any female...
Okay, so we got a little bit of that. And then when it comes to EQ, I'm going to actually start with the FabFilter Pro Q, because I think there's a little bit of that room tone. I'm not quite sure, but it seems like it's probably in the 800 to 1,000 range. So I'm going to try and find that here.
It's just me. But this topic came up in the Just Busters group. So any female podcast editors out there, join Just Busters. And we talked in a group about leaning on one another if it comes to worse and we totally get stuck and we don't have a team behind us. How
it still sounds a bit boxy. I'm thinking that's probably around 400.
are we going to do this? Are we going to start a spreadsheet or something? But if you get stuck, be able to go to that group of editors that you trust and say, hey, I need help. And hopefully, since we had this conversation, people are going to step up and, can help you out. I've helped other editors. I've helped you out before. Carrie, you're like, I'm overwhelmed. I just need this one show done. It's like, okay. If it comes to worse and we totally get stuck and we don't have a team behind us, how are we going to do this? Are we going to start a spreadsheet or something? But if you get stuck, be able to go to that group of editors that you trust and say, hey, I need help.
There we are.
And hopefully, since we had this conversation, people are going to step up and, can help you out. I've helped other editors. I've helped you out before, Carrie. So
Okay, so we've got the clinical EQ. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the character EQ, which will be, I'm going to just go ahead and use the Sheps again. One of the things about plugins, it's good and bad, is if you get used to using the same one over and over, you can go faster. However, you can get kind of set in your ways, which is part of why I've been thinking about trying out that new plugin. Let's see what we got.
So I don't have a team. It's just me. But this topic came up in the Just Busters group. So any female podcast editors out there, join Just Busters. And we talked in a group about leaning on one another if it comes to worse and we totally get stuck.
Seems like what I'm missing is the air. So I'm going to try just boosting that 8K where that is right
podcast
now.
Editors out there, join Just Busters. And we talked in a group about leaning on one another if it comes to worse and we totally get stuck and we don't have a team behind us, how are we going to do this? Are we going to start a spreadsheet or something? But if you get stuck, be able to go to that group of editors that you trust and say, hey, I need help. And hopefully, since we had this conversation, people are going to step up and, can help you out. I've helped other editors. I've helped you out before, Carrie. You're like, I'm overwhelmed. I just need this one show done. It's like, okay. This topic came up in the Just Busters group. So any female podcast editors out there, join Just Busters. And we talked in a group about leaning on one another.
So this one's a tough one because I want a little bit more presence for her voice. But that sort of that 2 to 6 range is sometimes where that sibilance comes in, maybe around 4.5 to 5 for a woman. So I'm trying to be careful with how much I bring that frequency up. Right now I'm just trying to find where I want to boost it.
It's just me, but this topic came up in the Just Busters group. So any female podcast editors out there, join Just Busters. And we talked in a group about leaning on one another if it comes to worse and we totally get stuck and we don't have a team behind us. How are we going to do this? Are we going to start a spreadsheet or something? But if you get stuck, be able to go to that group of editors that you trust and say, hey, I need help. And hopefully, since we had this conversation, Just Busters group. So any female podcast editors out there, join Just Busters. And we talked in a group about leaning on one another.
Okay, so let me make sure that's better.
It's me, but this topic came up in the Just Busters group. So any female podcast editors out there, join Just Busters. And we talked in a group about leaning on one another. Female podcast editors out there, join.
So Jennifer's another one with good sibilance control. So I very much appreciate that. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and call that done for the purposes of EQ and compression. I may come back and change that at some point, but that gets us started. So the next thing, not the sexiest part, but I'm going to go through and remove as much of the non-speaking. Actually, no, I'm going to do the mix first. So I've got I'm not going to use any of those today because those slow me down. I'm going to drop the Ulean loudness meter on my master track. And what I'm going to do is check some of these sections for volume. What I'm targeting is somewhere between minus 21.5 and minus 22 decibels. For everybody, that'll get us all, when we think about the LUFS range, that'll get us all within about a half a decibel of each other so that there will be a consistent volume level between everybody. So what I'm going to do is solo first Carrie, and I'm going to play some, and then I'll adjust her levels.
I have created a blog post on what podcasters should be doing during this time, with broken down into different categories, like the hygiene part, like clean your microphones and clean them correctly. And of course, wash your hands. I mean, I don't think we can say that enough, just like even not in a pandemic, but it's nice to be able to wash your hands. And then what you can do to deal with podcasting. So don't be telling enough to your audience. Pay attention to their feedback. Ask them specifically. Go out and engage your audience. A lot of people say, well, how do I talk to my audience? Well, you talk to them. The people that interact with you on social media, that comment, mention.
Okay, so we're coming in at minus 23 LUFS. So if I add a decibel and a half, if I've done my math right, that should get us to about minus 21.5.
I have created a blog post on what podcasters should be doing during this time, with broken down into different categories, like the hygiene part, like clean your microphones and clean them correctly. And of course, wash your hands. I mean, I don't think we can say that enough, just like even not in a pandemic, but it's nice to be able to wash your hands. And then what you can do to deal with podcasting. So don't be telling enough to your audience. Pay attention to their feedback. Ask them specifically. Go out and engage your audience. A lot of people say, well, how do I talk to my audience? Well, you talk to them. The people that interact with you on social media, that comment, mention things about your show.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull 1/10 of a decibel off of that because I'm that kind of guy. Next up, I'm going to do Jennifer. We're just going to take this section right here. Solo.
As far as the physical space goes, we're still open. The governor here in Kentucky has shut down all public-facing businesses. So public-facing businesses we're forced to close. Well, I'm not a public facing business. It's mostly just me in the office all the time. And I have a few people come in, and I have a shared office space as well. So now they're not shared offices anymore.
Okay, so she's at minus 25. That's quite a bit of boost. I'm going to go ahead and give her 3.2 decibels. I'm concerned that might be a little bit much, but we'll give it a try. A little bit of this is trial and error. Yes, it's math, but it's also got to make sure that it's right.
As far as physical space goes, we're still open. The governor here in Kentucky has shut down all public-facing businesses, so public-facing businesses were forced to close. So I'm not a public-facing business. It's mostly just me in the office all the time, and I have a few people come in, and I have a shared office space as well. So now they're not shared offices anymore. They are independent, socially distanced offices with one person each. And then with the studio, I'm wiping down and cleaning off and mopping and wiping down again and all that sorts of good stuff. And it's still open because my volume is so small, and it hasn't affected me yet. I actually have someone who's dying.
Okay, so I'm going to give her another half a decibel. That'll take her to 3.7. And let's see, next up we'll do Daniel. Whoops, I probably shouldn't have closed that. Let's see, we'll do here, we've got a nice long section, Daniel. Reset my counter and zoom in.
All right, so Meatbox is something I bought of AppSumo. Currently going for $50, and I love it because I was using Calendly and then also Zoom. So I didn't want to pay for it, so I would have Calendly on my website, schedule that, and then I would then manually add a meeting Zoom, which would then add it to, and then from there manually add it to my Google Calendar. That's how I was saying with Meatbox. And I not look back. Let me share my screen. All right, so this is my website, and this is like a place to schedule free consultation I have on my website. So there's a Google Calendar. That you click, pick your time.
Okay, so he's at minus 21.3. I'm going to pull out half a decibel, and that should get him down to minus 21.8, give or take. Check that, and that will be within what I consider to be an acceptable spec.
Box is something I bought of AppSumo. Currently going for $50, and I love it because I was using Calendly and then also Zoom. So I didn't want to pay for it, so I would have Calendly on my website, schedule that, and then I would then manually add a meeting Zoom, which would then add it to, and then from there manually add it to my Google Calendar. That's how I was saying with Meatbox. And I not look back. Let me share my screen. All right, so this is my website, and this is like a place to schedule free consultation I have on my website. So there's a Google Calendar. That you click, pick your time, sign up, confirm.
Okay, so I feel pretty good about that, and I did it again. Me and closing stuff today. Wow. Let's see, no comments, good. All right, so last one to do is me, and I need to find a nice longish section of my voice, and we'll see what we got.
I think, though, that Daniel's hesitance to share something on this really kind of speaks to the value of what we've been able to do as a group of four, right? Because between us, we have sort of, I don't want to call it a gentleman's agreement, because that kind of is bigger than that. We kind of have an understanding between ourselves that we're here to help each other and not try to steal ideas other than stealing in a good way. And so it's a little bit different when you take an idea and you start sharing it publicly to perhaps fives of people. I don't know how many people are watching right now, but this could be right. But because the reality is, as much as we want to be as generous as we possibly can, at the same time, there are people that will take an idea that has taken perhaps days, weeks, or months to flesh out. If we share all of it, somebody can take all of that intellectual property, if you will. I know that's not copyright, but take all of that and skip to the end, right? And so it's a little bit challenging to figure out how much you can share here versus other places. And so this is part of us, I think, learning how to also do this publicly, right? Because
all right, so I'm at minus 22.2. I'm going to go ahead and give myself half a decibel, and I'm going to call it good. I'm going to turn off that plugin, because I don't need that again unless I change something. And now the super sexy part of going through and removing when people aren't talking. Actually, before I do this, I should probably show you. No, I can't show you that yet. That's not officially. There's some new stuff coming in Hindenburg. If you're part of the Hindenburg users group at hindyusers.com, that's a Facebook group. It'll redirect you there. You can get access to some of these, but I can't share publicly. But there are some new features that are pretty slick.
I think there's also the question.
Check and see if.
I think there's also the question, Carrie, that you had.
All right, that's not stuff we want to keep. Some of this stuff will come back and fade later. Let's see, is this value added?
I think it was a lot.
All right, yeah, that's good. I'm going to just pull out all of the stuff that appears at first glance to be not value-added conversation, and we will then go back through later and spot check the edits to make sure that this is correct and that we didn't leave something in that should have been out.
Facing businesses, so
Yeah, that comes out.
This probably hits you pretty hard as well, having physical space.
I didn't even notice that during the recording. Huh. So we're going to pull that out. And that. I occasionally hear editors complain about bringing this stuff out, and it's not the most fun thing in the world, but honestly, this is often what makes the difference. Even though a lot of this stuff might not be clearly audible when you're listening back, being the editor that takes the time to bring this kind of stuff out really can make a difference for your clients, whether you're your own client and you edit for yourself and, I don't know, your buddies, your girlfriends, whatever, or you're editing professionally. This kind of stuff, making sure that the background noises, the sniffles, the sneezes, the hum is all gone when it doesn't add to the conversation, that's what's going to make a difference for your clients. I picked this up from Chris Curran, Podcast Engineering School. He's not the only person that does this or promotes this, but it really does make a difference. I'm going to go ahead and solo this and see what we got going on here.
Done. Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes it's not quite as clear as it seems. While I'm doing this, I just want to reiterate how incredibly happy I am to be connected to the rest of this group, Daniel and Carrie and Jennifer. We call ourselves the Good, the Bad, and the Yeti. It was a joke when we had our first meeting. We weren't quite sure what to call our group, and we just jokingly said something when we set up the Zoom call, and that became us. Let's see, make sure. And why can I not undo? Yeah, okay. Just making sure. That became the group. We've been together, I don't know, somewhere around 2 years, possibly over 2 years. It's kind of easy to lose track of time. We meet fairly regularly. We've discovered the value of having a small group, and we would certainly like the same for you if you are an editor and you don't have that. Our group is full, sorry, but
Sorry.
it does make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, there's that. Right now, the math I'm doing in my head is, are these breaks small enough to justify cutting out the middle? Sometimes it can sound unnatural. I don't think it's going to.
And Emily Prokop shared a comment where she was talking about the amount of misinformation, and this is maybe going to be a controversial question.
Okay, yeah, so I think that works. I'm just trying to make sure that we leave in the parts that matter, cut the parts that don't. And let's see, we got that. Not being quite as careful to fade everybody else. I can go back and do that later if I need to, but definitely need to fade with the background noise on Jennifer's. Okay.
Wires you.
Yeah. Wasn't sure if I needed to leave that in, but I think I do. Let's see there. And by the way, in case you're wondering, 4 tracks is not easier than 1 track. 1 track is easier than 4. I typically do 1 to 2, sometimes 3. But it's a good experience to get out and stretch your wings a bit, do a few more tracks, and see what you get going on. Let's see, where are we? Oh, wow, it's a little bit after 9. I may have to call this before we're done editing this particular episode, just for time, because at some point I would like to see my wife today. I don't know if you are experiencing this, but we've been coronavirused in. Nobody that we know directly has been impacted in terms of illness, but the state and local authorities have recommended that people stay in. Our kids are out of school. My office. I do work a day job. I'm a side hustle podcast editor. Let me pause for a second.
Business accounts graphic that I'm targeting, but like how to start a podcast. I want to promote.
I think that stays in. Nope.
Like my personal accounts versus like my business accounts.
Okay, there we go. So, yeah, my office has asked us to stay home for quite some time, so we're getting used to this.
On kind of word of mouth. Kind of like my goal for the year to be like more proactive.
But even though I'm staying home, doesn't mean that I'm not working. In fact, I've probably worked a little bit more since I've been staying at home, simply because it takes a little bit longer sometimes to get stuff done. And you know, the company I work for has been really good about making tools available for us. I certainly hope that if you're in a similar situation that you've had this, the same. However, sometimes it does take longer. Is that good?
I'm not.
Okay, that stays. We leave in the laughter because we have a lot of it and we like to laugh. Let's see where we are. 29 minutes. I've got about 10 minutes of audio left.
As much, and so we.
Boy, somebody's going to have to talk to these editors about not touching their microphones while they're
Stuff that's going on, and this
recording. Let's see, I want to get that in. And, oops. In case you're wondering, I have a keyboard shortcut set up that's mapped to my mouse. It's the shortcut to delete stuff. So what I'm able to do is just select a range, and then with a single key on my mouse, without messing around with the keyboard, I'm able to delete sections. And that's what I'm doing right now. That's part of why I do this all at once. There's one show that I edit that's recorded primarily live on trade show floors. And there's so much background noise that I have to go through and manually remove pieces. I can't just go through visually like I am right now and know what comes out. And so this is actually quite a bit faster in the sense that I'm able to just visually take a look, and based primarily on experience, and go, okay, I could tell that this stuff is just, well, it's noise. It's sounds that don't matter to the conversation. This I'm not clear on yet. Yeah, so I want to leave that in. But being able to do it like this really, really makes it faster. It seems like it might not, because I'm going through and I'm spending time specifically on this, but it does make it faster because I'm able to focus specifically on getting this part right, and then later I'll focus on getting the other edits correct, and that will be primarily a listen through to remove any major stuff. For this show, we've committed to not do any detailed edits. I can't say I won't remove an or two, because it might happen.
I have alerted.
What?
I don't know what I'm.
Huh. Not quite sure what caused that, but there was some noise on mine. That's troubling. I'm starting to wonder, because I had some background noise when I was testing this microphone today. I'm starting to wonder if maybe the cable's going bad. This is just the XLR cable that came with the boom arm that I'm using right now. I'm hoping it's not going bad, because I don't really want to replace it. It's not a huge deal. I just, it's not what I want to do. I like doing other things, like removing long stretches of non-value added noise.
Right.
All right, so we'll keep that. Oops, that goes away. And I missed some of Carrie's. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what I should talk about. I feel kind of lonely here. If you're watching and there's something that you'd like to have me explain or some comment that you'd like to make that's pertinent, I would love to see that. I've got those comments up as far as I can tell.
So in JustBusters, one of the things I'm working.
I am using restream.io to stream this. So my hope is that you aren't feverishly typing comments that I can't see. It's supposed to come through. We'll find out. If I get done and I've got a bunch of comments that I missed, then my apologies. I was hoping that this would be kind of a two-way conversation. It also might be as much fun as watching paint dry. Who knows? Let's see. There we go. 49 minutes. Hey, we're getting close. Guess this was longer than I thought it was. Pro streamer. Hey, Daniel. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by pro streamer, but here's hoping. If nothing else, you're getting to watch me do exactly the same kinds of things that you do every single time. Yeah. Is this good?
And it says,
Oops, got two of them going. Yeah, that goes out. What about that?
Yes.
Question.
I guess I'll take this chance to do a bit of a plug. One of the places that I picked up a lot of the things that I know and I'm able to do now was Chris Curran's Podcast Engineering School. I'm a graduate of that. And if you're looking to really up your game, pause here for a second.
Oh yeah.
If you're looking to really up your game as a podcast editor or podcast engineer, you want to produce podcasts at a professional level, I recommend it. Now, if you are already producing at a professional level, it might not be something that you need. It might. I wanted to do it because I wanted the confidence and the experience. And truthfully, I wasn't quite sure how much I would learn, but I was hopeful. And Chris delivered. I picked up quite a bit. Let's see. I got to solo this. All right, we're not going to keep the whispering in because that won't be audible anyway. But yeah, Chris Curran's Podcast Engineering School, podcastengineeringschool.com. Definitely worth checking out. I recommend it. I am an affiliate for the school, but I am not going to share my affiliate link with you today. If you want to check it out, I'm glad to share that with you personally, but I'm not here to pimp the school for the purpose of making money. I'm just here to edit and hang out and hopefully brighten your day a little bit with some of my amazing skills. Or, yeah, I'm not a streamer, so just going to have to bear with me here for a second. So while I've got you here, though, I'm pulling out stuff. One of my pet peeves as an editor is when I hear this kind of stuff that was left in and it degrades the audio quality. But I'm wondering, do you have a pet peeve?
But then
It could be a pet peeve of people that don't know how to stream like me, or it could be a pet peeve related to podcasts. Go ahead and share that in the comments. I'd like to hear that, especially if they're funny. Funny would be good today. I think a lot of people could use a little bit of pick-me-up. And yeah. And if you can't think of anything, maybe just share if you're doing anything related to social distancing, and if so, what you're doing and how you like it. That would be in the comments as well. And hoping that maybe I can bring some of those comments in. I don't know if I can display them or not. I probably should have done a better job of checking out the service before I started streaming. If you're wondering, you may not be able to see my microphone. I'm trying something a little bit different today. My mic of choice for a long time was the RE320, the Electro Voice RE320. Great microphone. I picked it up when I was working on an audiobook, and I needed to upgrade from my Audio-Technica AT2005 to something that was a little bit higher quality for the purposes of that audiobook. And then recently I picked up the Stellar X2. It's a budget mic that's modeled to sound like the oh shoot, what's that really expensive mic? It's like $3,600. It's a Neumann U87, kind of a knockoff. I'm not quite sure that it delivers 100% on its promise, but I do like it. It does a better job of rejecting background noise than I would have expected for a lot of condenser microphones. It is a condenser. I typically recommend dynamic mics. Today I'm using a shotgun mic. It's the Audio-Technica AT875R. Let's see what we got here. Okay, good. That's good. The AT875R, it's a short shotgun mic, and I like it. I'm trying it out. I like, because I'm vain, I like that it doesn't show up on the screen, or at least I don't think it is. Whereas if I've got the Stellar or the other one, it's basically a big thing right in front of my face here. Oh, Daniel says that social distancing hasn't affected him much. It's kind of his lifestyle. Yeah, so other than for my day job and some social stuff, it's kind of been my lifestyle. Even as a side hustle editor, I'm able to stay in quite a bit. I don't get out a whole lot. I did work previously. I mean, I still work the job, but I did travel to work consistently.
That could have easily been handled.
Yeah.
But because we're working from home, that's been a bit of a change. I think the bigger change has been for my wife. With our kids being home from school, there's the unexpected need to be in charge of daily activities. And she had plenty of other stuff that she was doing before that's all kind of on hold because of this recent change. Not sure if anybody else is in the chat there, but if so, I'd love to hear from you as well. I don't want Daniel to get lonely. And let's see, what do we got? I'm going to make some wholesale changes and then do some detail in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Is any of this worthwhile?
Yeah. That's a must.
Okay. Daniel's alone. Okay, well, maybe somebody can join us on the replay and be alone with you by themselves. I don't know. Let's see, we're at the 105 mark. Well, Daniel, since you were here for the live recording, you would remember that this went way longer than we had anticipated. But it's good. And let's see. That stays. That goes. As you can tell, I'm not being super delicate with these fades right now. I do like the way that you can automatically set the fades in Reaper. It's not my preferred solution, but it has got some really cool features. And I know that that is Daniel's preferred solution. If you are a Reaper user and you want to connect with other Reaper users, or you want to be a Reaper user for podcasting, check out Daniel's Facebook group, Reaper for Podcasting. I don't know that there's a .com in there. Daniel, if you haven't registered that, it might be worth checking that. Yeah, Daniel, I am streaming supposedly also to Periscope and to my Facebook profile as well as my Facebook page. And I don't think there is anywhere else, maybe YouTube. Let's see what we got here.
I'm going to add that to the...
Yeah, pull out that. But all the comments should be showing up, and you're the only one showing up so far. One of the things we talked about, if you are joining live, it's possible that we can't see you, but one of the benefits of showing up to these kinds of things live and taking the time to get into the chat is it gives us a chance to connect. You know, I sit here and I kind of facilitate this and hopefully have a bit of a conversation, but it also gives you, potentially as another editor, a chance to connect with other people, whether they're other editors or other podcasters, and get to know them, which can have the added benefit of helping you grow your business.
You can put in and let's call it...
No guarantees, of course.
Okay.
that I would recommend doing it just for the sole purpose of doing that, because I mean, people can feel when it's kind of creepy, but it's a good way to meet people, get connected, and then grow your relationships. Kind of build on those. And let's see what we got going on here. I keep thinking I'm almost done, and then there's more when I get there. This is like the episode that never ends, isn't it, Daniel? Let's see. And yeah, you're definitely welcome. No worries on that. Let's see. Is this all good stuff, Carrie?
Not in the dust.
Not easy
They
to
don't
find
make any.
to open up Zoom. I'll go ahead and open.
So I don't know if you can live stream to a group, but I can show you real quick on how to do it
Because
on a page.
I would need to stream it to a group.
Okay.
Because
I don't.
Okay, got to get rid of that. You guys can.
Are you talking about?
Yeah, Daniel, we did keep talking after we after we stopped. It was a longer night than usual for sure. If I zoom out, though, I feel like I'm closer to the end. Yeah, my goodness, hour and 20 minutes. Now I've got a couple minutes of dead stuff at the beginning that's going to come out, but definitely longer. Yeah, so if I was charging somebody to edit this, this would definitely be beyond my normal base rate. I think I don't remember where everybody's packages are. Yeah, so I guess I should share with people in case you are catching the stream or the replay. One of the things that the people in our group have done is we've actually worked together. We share information and we help ourselves kind of figure out where we're sitting in the market and whether our pricing is appropriate. Oh, you don't think my Facebook streams are working? Well, that would figure. A stream key. That information, and then that will send. Well, if they're not, I won't get to stream there. So, Daniel, where are you watching me then? If not on Facebook, where are you catching this? And I had to disable that because I was because that would explain why nobody's watching. Potentially.
Oops.
Right, there we go. YouTube. Oh, nice. Well, at least I got it working there. That's interesting. Yeah, so if you're watching this and wondering what's going on, this is my first time in quite some time streaming with Restream.io. And I'd set it up, I thought, to stream to Facebook and to Periscope and to YouTube. It appears that it might only be streaming to YouTube, which is not where I've built my strongest community. However, okay. Yeah, Periscope's working. Facebook page stopped after 6 minutes. Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. But that's not where I've built my community until now. We'll see what happens. Hopefully this will be a value add for those that do catch it. Let's see.
Carrie already said not it. I already.
Let's see. This is where we were deciding who gets to edit this. And since I'm editing live in front of you here, I'm the winner. Not sure that we actually decided on the call, but I got jealous when I saw Daniel doing a live editing thing with Reaper in his group. And so I decided, well, I'll do the same.
I will.
All right, don't need. Yeah, we probably do. That's probably a laugh.
And we
thing.
will gladly be.
Yeah,
I will.
there we go. So that stays in. This comes out. And as soon as I finish these bulk edits, I'm probably going to call it for the night. And I'll come back later for the detailed editing. It is about 9:30 my time.
typically end editing a little bit later, but well, maybe a little bit too much honesty. I actually overslept this morning. And so rather than trying to catch up on the other 30 minutes of stuff that I might have gotten done before it was time to shower and get ready for work, I'm going to try to maybe get to bed a little bit earlier so that I'm fresher the next time.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I want to do a good job for my clients. Yeah. For those of you, in case there is anybody watching, one other question for you. What kind of timeline do you ask your clients to give you in terms of editing? I have a particular timeline that I ask for, and I'm wondering, do you have anything that you ask for as well in terms of a minimum editing timeline? If you'd share that in the comments, I'd just love to hear from you about that. The bulk edits are done. Let's see, I've got about 5 minutes of nothing. So, Daniel, one thing I thought I might do, I was working on a silly bumper, I guess, for the end, and I thought I might drop that in and get your feedback, assuming I can remember where I saved it. So apologies, I'm looking away from the camera, which is like the worst thing ever to do. I was thinking something like this might go at the end. It's just a super short stinger, but it's based on our Yeti. Let's see, unsolo, music.
Next time we go live, and we'll keep you up to date. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Anyway, wondering what you think of that. How silly is it? You ask for 3 days. Good. Yeah. I ask for more, but yeah, definitely. With that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off to everybody. And Daniel, it was great to have you here. If there's anybody else that I'm missing, my apologies on not giving you the shout out. I hope that you're having a great day, and I look forward to connecting again. If you did like this editing thing, let me know. You can find me at toptieraudio.com. Send me a note and let me know if you'd like to see more of this. And if not, then no worries. And hope to see you soon. Bye.